systems do we deal with? Six. We only deal with 6 levels of organization. So everyone's cool with that. And so let's go with the next of characteristics of life. And again, this should be very review, but to discern whether something is alive, it has to possess all 6 of the following. And in different books you'll see maybe 12 things listed, because under metabolism they put respiration and digestion and elimination. And so you might see different lists, folks, but essentially all lists boil down to these 6 characteristics of life. And they are, first and foremost, metabolism. Oh, I bet you can't see this in the back, so I'll try to write it. Where metabolism, as you all know from taking some chemistry and relating it to biology, is the sum total of all chemical reactions in the body. All chemical reactions in the body. But what 2 sides of the coin of metabolism are there? If in fact we make metabolism a coin, and there's the heads and the tails, what are the 2 sides? Who knows what I mean by that?
Catabolism and...
We've got to, if metabolism is the overriding word, the global word, then we would break it down, and it means all chemical reactions. Then aren't there what are called the tear down or the decomposition reactions? So we should know it as decomp. I'll just write decomp. I'm doing a little abbreviation here, folks, because it's in the notes, but decomposition. Oh, see, that's right. And that's taking some larger molecule and breaking it down such that, you can break it down successively. You can have AB plus C, or what's the final breakdown? A plus B plus C. So the idea is you start with something larger and you break it down. You decompose it. Yeah, I hope that resonates from your chemistry. So what would the opposite of decomposition reactions? And by the way, all decomposition reactions are known as catabolism. Catabolism, or catabolic reactions. When you're being catty to somebody, you say, oh man, did you see her hair? Oh, she just hadn't washed her hair. You're being really tear down. So it's got its parallel. And the opposite is to synthesize, all synthesis reactions. And that you would start with smaller components. You can take X plus Y plus Z, and we would build them up into something larger. We're synthesizing, so we would end up with a molecule of XYZ. Yeah? And together, all synthesis reactions are known as anabolism. So the 2 sides of metabolism are catabolism and anabolism. Just kind of go back and review that. Okay, that's one of the characteristics of life. You're living, you're metabolizing. And then, of course, the next one is responsiveness. Living things can respond to stimuli. And I'm going to let you, read the unfolded, more descriptive examples and narrative in the book, but remember, we all can respond to stimuli.
Is it XYZ or XYX?
Well, bless your heart, I would maybe we need to use X again, so there you go. Okay, responsiveness. The next one is movement. Now, sometimes the response to something is movement, but not always. So these are indeed separate characteristics of life. And movement isn't just moving from point A to point B. What other kind of movement goes on in your body? Movement of body fluids. Blood circulates, lymph goes in one direction, little cilia propel mucus along the mucous membranes in your body. So lots of different examples of this, but movement all the same. This is the one, folks, number 4, is the one that most students kind of forget about. It's called differentiation. All living things exhibit differentiation at some point, especially embryologically, where one cell can become differentiated into all the different types of cells in your body. And inherent in this idea of differentiation is the concept of induction, where one group of cells acts on another group of cells to establish a particular developmental pathway in that responding group of cells. So by induction, you will exhibit the differentiation. Induction is kind of like the inducing group of cells, the inducing cells kind of act on another group of cells. Induction implies that there's chemical or maybe just physical or some way to induce. These inducing cells take these responding group of cells, and the responding group of cells at first is totally undifferentiated. It's just tissue that hasn't yet gone down its definitive differentiation pathway. But it's these inducing cells that cause these responding cells, beginning to be undifferentiated, to now become differentiated. Are you okay with this? Yeah. So differentiated responding cells. And truly to get at all the fundamental types of cells in our body, there had to be some activity like that. So in this arrow, I actually should land this arrow right on this. Because this is sort of like showing an enzyme catalyzing a reaction. It's a shorthand way of saying this. So these inducing cells have to have some chemical or physical or other some kind of mysterious way of inducing and acting on their second group of cells. So okay. So that's a really key one. And then I'm going to go off to the left, which is a little counter the way we growth, of course. Everybody would come up with growth. And lastly, we say the best for last, reproduction. Just one word about growth. Growth, remember, isn't just in size, but also in whether the weight can grow. Yesterday in lab, I showed the one cell becoming two and the two becoming four. The number of cells. Sometimes the cells don't grow in size, but they grow in number, and that's growth all the same. So okay, so we're good to go with our characteristics of life. The next topic, well, let's see. But the way we sort of round this all out is that we deal with the concept of homeostasis. Because to keep all 6 of these characteristics of life sort of going and acting positively and providing, health and fitness and wellness and all the good things in our body, we need to understand the underlying relationship of all those 6 characteristics of life. And it's called homeostasis. And I so wish I had my projector because I should have just run this off for everybody. But here's what our discussion of homeostasis is going to look like. So we're good with this. That you can take out of the textbook the definition of homeostasis. In fact, somebody, if you have your book, look it up in the glossary, and let's just do a quick read of what homeostasis says in the glossary. Are we on that here? Let's see. On page G9. Well, okay, do I have it right there? Okay, I was going to say, I think I quoted from the book. So homeostasis, well, yeah, describes it, well, no, see, that's my lecture note. Yeah, no, I wanted to juxtapose, yeah, homeostasis, thank you, you're getting there. Okay, here's the short version from the book, from the glossary of G13. The condition in which the body's internal environment remains relatively constant within certain physiological limits. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward, and you think, oh yeah, okay, I can memorize that and I get it. Well, the problem is that definition does not get at all the aspects of homeostasis. So what I'm going to do is, it's kind of like what's in your notes, but the idea is homeostasis is a dynamic. The definition in the book just says it's a condition. Well, no, it's not really a condition. It's a dynamic series of processes. Is a cycle of events the same as a series of processes? Yeah, so you can phrase it a lot of different ways. But a cycle of events, so it's more than just one thing happening. It's a whole dynamic series of processes, or a dynamic cycle of events, okay, that and now we're going to put sort of another level of consideration up here that responds to external and or internal changes. So that responds. Can you even see this in the way back, folks? I know this is really awkward, but responds to, you know, they can be external and or internal changes. So I'm just going to put both. And usually, you know, it's you take an example of one or the other, but internal changes and kind of at the end of each thing is the linkage to the next thing. And here's our third consideration. Result is dynamic series of processes result in the maintenance of one or more, sometimes, body conditions. That's where I like the word condition. And just parenthetically, what do we mean by body conditions, folks? Let's do a real quick little list of who can give me something that constitutes a body condition.